and in today's video we are doing an FPL catch-up. That's right, in today's video I will be showing you my latest draft for this upcoming 2023 to 24 season. A few days ago we did of course do that current draft at the time, showing my game week 1 side and how I matched up. In today's slightly shorter video, I'm going to be telling you how it's now changed, any new thoughts that I've had in the last few days. Obviously, we're now in full swing for pre-season. There's been the Premier League Summer Series and many more things, injuries, players scoring, but also thinking about the assets that I owned, whether or not I was stuck with them, and let's see who I've got as those cheeky differentials. But before we do get into the video, make sure you do smash a like on it. Subscribe for more content in this FPL 2023-24 season. And if you know a mate or a friend that likes FPL, then shout out to FPL Yellow Army and ask them to subscribe, because it'd be great to get you on the board for this season, because right now we're looking at going towards 100 subs. It would be amazing. We're currently on around 80, so if we can keep on pushing those subscribers, that would be brilliant and really does help me out. Also, if you do like the video, then comment below what your thoughts were, and ultimately, what do you think of my latest draft that I'm showing you in this video. So, after a swig of Ribena, without further ado, let's get into my current Game Week 1 draft. Boom, shaka, laka. So, we're going to basically show it to you like this. Going to reveal each stage and then show it all together at the bottom. Now, you can probably guess the bench there. You can see the bench. It's not the most spectacular thing you've seen in the world. But if I just show to you the goalkeeper there, it's an interesting one for sure. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's Onana. I'm not going to lie. And I might as well show you the whole thing together. It just makes more sense. So let's go place by place, position by position, and we can justify why my draft looks like this as it does at the moment. So if we just zoom in on this quickly for you people, so we can just really properly see it. So we'll start off then, shall we, in between the sticks. One of the places that's not changed in my Game Week 1 draft is in goal. So let's start off then with him, Andre Onana. The reason he's still going to be my goalkeeper as of now, going into Game Week 1, is because he just has a lot of potential to get those bonus points. Passing out for Manchester United, he racks up those bonus points, and he did actually make his debut. I think it was against Real Madrid, if I'm right in remembering. It was one of the pre-season games for Manchester United. And I've got to say, Onana played well. He was really comfortable with the ball at his feet. And I know that you're going to say it's only pre-season, it's a low-intensity game. What about when they play in the Premier League and it's going to be players like Liverpool, for instance, if they're going to have a high press, they're going to, catch out Onana a few times. Of course, this strategy for Manchester United with a goalkeeper playing out from the back is not going to come without its risks. And ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised to see some United clean sheets wiped out because Onana tries to play out from the back. We saw it with Alisson only a few years ago when he made his first season at Liverpool, that away game against Leicester, gave away one of the goals and he got absolutely hammered for it. But then after that, he got better and he did do well FPL-wise. And actually, Alisson in the last few years has been quite good in terms of points. Obviously, we've never considered him because he's been too expensive for a price of a goalkeeper, and he takes up one of those valuable Liverpool spots like you want a Trent or you want a Salah, etc., Mane in the past. But ultimately, Onana at 5.0 is even cheaper than that, and he's that 0.5 saving on Luke Shaw. Now, I liked Onana originally, and that's why I had him in my latest video. I'm going to stick with him because, like I said, I like the look of him from that Real Madrid game, and I just think fixture-wise, it's quite nice for Onana. I mean, obviously, Tottenham and Arsenal is not the best, but that's perfect for Onana to get some save points because there's some good attacking opponents he's up against there. Wolves and Forest as well as perfect fixtures, and Wolves and Forest were both really goal-shy last season, so hopefully some clean sheets there. But if not, even the save points, even the passing out, he can get those bonus points. And I think Onana is just a set and forget goalkeeper. A lot of people are going for him, and I think it's a very sensible choice because you look at that first fixture against Wolves. I mean, Wolves have just been so toothless, so it makes a lot of sense really. And I do think Shaw's a good option, but I just think with a 0.5 saving, you can do so much with that. And ultimately, we don't know any real nailed 5.0 defenders from Manchester United. and I think Onana is probably the only one that we can get for that price we know is going to play. So it just makes a lot of sense in my head. I did actually have Pickford early on in the season when I first made my first draft, but that was kind of an initial team, and the more I thought about it, the more I realised Everton just defensively not gonna keep enough clean sheets. As Pickford did get save points last year, so did the likes of Leno, but he's not got great fixtures. So I think it's just worth paying that extra bit more this season. But I think 5.0 is just not too expensive that it's too hard to deal with. So it's a good price for Onana, and I really do like him. And of course, he's got to be in your team to sing Onana, what's his name, and also a bit of Havana Onana, a bit of Camila Cabello there. But moving on to the defence, we've got Estupinian. I think this is a pretty template back four, and I don't see a lot of people diverting from it. I say that, we'll get on to a certain Liverpool player, but Estupinian is the highest owned defender in the game, and for good reason, because those first three for Brighton are juicy. Admittedly, after that, it is Newcastle and Manchester United, as you can see there, so it's one to watch. But I think Estupinian, when you think about the fact that Brighton, yes, they'll have Europa League this season, and yes, they haven't seemed to bought any other left-back, but Estupinian, that makes him more nailed to play, and also he's just so attacking, right? So for those, at least for those first three, when they're good fixtures and Europa League doesn't come in until around game week 5, game week 6, we'll have hopefully a nailed Estupinian. And for 5.0, I just cannot have him not in my team. Now, I've seen a few people go without. I just think when you start the season and you've got high ownership players, it's just a big risk. I mean, I'm going to go on to high ownership later with one of my midfielders, and it's a bit of a risk that I've not included him. But with Estupinian, I think that's a risk that's not worth taking. And ultimately, I have to kind of take the possible price drop on the chin, because I just really like him as an option. And, you know, if they don't do well in those first three for clean sheets, that is a real possibility. But then I can always move to a Tottenham or certainly a Chelsea defender around game week 3 or 4 anyway. So it's absolutely fine. And I just really like him for that Luton fixture, because Luton obviously new to the league. We don't know how they're going to do. And Brighton, all right, defensively they're not great. They're more of a team that are all out going for the goals, and they're quite defensively all over the place. But you don't have Estupinian for those clean sheets. You do have him for the attacking return. But also with Luton, it's just looking at our opponent that they're unlikely to be, you know, smacking in the goals in that Brighton game. It'd be quite surprising. So hopefully a clean sheet in that first one at least. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, here's a bit of a topical debate right now in the FPL community, because I think when everyone saw his 8 million price tag, they were like, ouch, but I'm still going to pay it for him. I'm still going to pay the premium. Now, it seems that after watching a few Liverpool pre-season games, people are arguing he's not going to be worth the money. But the only thing they've seen from that to deduce that is that he's playing in a bit of a 6. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because Liverpool haven't signed a defensive midfielder yet. They've sold Fabinho. They've let go of Henderson to Saudi. So, of course, Trent is going to fill in that role. Doesn't mean he's wedded to that position when the season starts and they might have another midfielder in. So, I am praying for that to happen. I mean, it's interesting, a few of these debates with when will transfers happen, how does that change the structure, and how does that affect how we look at certain players, like Man United, for instance, if they sign, which is rumoured to be Haaland, I think it's called, not Erling Haaland, but Haaland, the Denmark striker, the Norwegian. He's also a Norwegian, so it just makes it even more confusing. But he's the talk of the town at the moment. If they do sign him, does that make Rashford less an option? Does that push out the players of Garnacho as a cheeky differential? Probably does. So yeah, ultimately it does change your thoughts, these transfer moves. But most of these thoughts I've got are kind of quite confident on. I'm not 100% locked in. Of course, we could get T News at the Burnley game. I'm actually going to be going to Fantasy Football Fest. So that's going to be great. If you are going there on the 11th of August, then do feel free to say hi. It's going to be a fantastic night, as it always is. But yeah, regarding that kind of ownership thing with Trent, he wasn't massively owned when the game launched, but quite a few people said it's a choice now between Trent and Salah. But now, people are even going without Trent and Salah. And personally, I just can't do that. I'm just too loyal to Liverpool. It might come at my downfall, because Liverpool have got a bit up and down fixtures, not ideal. You know, you look at the first three, Chelsea and Newcastle in there, it's not easy, and there's a good probability that Liverpool concede in both of those. and also they're not the easiest games for attacking returns for Trent. But are we really doubting Trent? I know he didn't have a good start to last season, neither did the whole Liverpool, but I don't believe Liverpool will be as bad as they were last year. And Trent, yes, he's a bit expensive, and you want to have guaranteed clean sheets, or at least a very good chance of them, along with his attacking returns to make 8 million for a defender worth it. But I just think Trent is always worth it. I just think he pops up with goals, assists, when he doesn't care who he's playing, he just does it. And alright, yeah, the defence is a worry for Liverpool, I'll admit, but they do need to get some of their midfielders in to maybe protect that back four. They do need to get, Van Dijk playing back to his potential. But when he's playing in his potential, he is a force to be reckoned with. We know that. He's been one of the league's best centre-backs in recent years. It's just last season he wasn't great. So I think there's a lot of things here that Liverpool could go back to their best and Trent could be worth that 8 million. But I can't go without Trent because he just is too scary to watch and not own. And I think that a Chelsea away fixture, on paper, is hard, but Chelsea is still trying to work themselves out. Now, I know they've been good in pre-season. Jackson has caught a few people's eye, the likes of Nkunku as well. But I still feel that the Trent attacking upside is too high to not have him in my team. And, people are saying they're keen on Chilwell, Reece James, even Malo Gusto if Reece James doesn't play. But I don't know, I would back more the attacking upside of Trent than I would Chilwell. But obviously we know there's a big price difference, of course. It's 2.5 is going to be a big difference maker. But I just feel that Trent is worth that money. He just offers something different to anyone else, in my opinion. But that's just me. It's personal preference, really. Now, Chelsea could easily score in that game, but as I say, if he's on some set pieces, even if Szoboszlai takes some of them, then Trent is just... I just like him too much as an FPL asset. But we shall see, of course. It's great to have that price point because he's the most expensive, and if it doesn't go to plan in the first couple of weeks, easily go down to Chilwell when Chelsea's fixtures actually do get better in Game Week 3 and onwards. Gabriel was there as well. Now, Nottingham Forest, I think that is a very good fixture for a clean sheet because Forest were pretty goal shy away from home, definitely, last season. Now, Arsenal did kind of concede quite a lot towards the end of the campaign at home, especially. But I still feel Gabriel is a fantastic asset. Now, Saliba's also interesting. You could argue that he's a better footballer. Whether he's a better FPL asset, I'm not too convinced. Because although he does, seem to pass out a lot and that gets bonus points, I just think the added goal threat you get from Gabriel... I mean, Saliba got a couple of goals, but I think they were pretty low XG chances. I think Gabriel is much more of a set-piece threat. And I think Gabriel is just as nailed as Saliba, in my opinion. Gabriel, I don't see where he gets benched because he's so key for that team, and I think that set piece threat could be really important. So I really like him at 5.0. He was a very decent player for Arsenal last season. He was a frustrating own for me at points because I never owned him when he seemed to score, and when he did score that one time, he was on my bench for that away Fulham match. So yeah, hopefully I can get it right this time for Gabriel, and hopefully dreams can come true, as Gabriel Singer once sung. But look, ultimately, I do really like him as an asset. I think Arsenal defence is very strong, and their fixtures are so good. So I'd like to go with an Arsenal defender. And I don't think Ramsdale for the same price is worth it when, Onana's got those bonus points, attractive as an option there. So then looking at the rest of my team, in the midfield, we have gone for the following. Yes, it's a 5 in midfield, absolute dynamite. Mitoma, let's start off with him. Now, I talked about the Brighton fixtures for Luton, Wolves and West Ham. They're just so good to start the first 3 that I can't go without at least 2 Brighton, in my opinion. I know that Brighton is a minefield this season, what with Europa League and rotation that De Zerbi's bound to do this season. But I still feel that of all the Brighton players, Mitoma is the most nailed. And yes, he did tail off towards the end of last season in terms of attacking returns, but I still feel he's their talisman, and he's the one they're going to want to, rely on for the attacking return. So therefore, he can really step up to the occasion. Luton at home is just too good of a fixture for them not to have an attacker against. And I know that you'll say the Watford bias is kicking in there, but look, I still feel that early on when Luton, we don't know how they're going to do, it's worth targeting them. And don't forget, the same thing goes, as I said, with Stupinian. Fixture runs, the Europa League doesn't come in till 5 or 6. So hopefully Mitoma should be free from rotation until then. Then Foden. Now, Foden is a bit of a sticking point, really. It's a bit of a sticky one. Ultimately, I don't want just Haaland. I want another City attacker. And I can't really get on board with their defence because ultimately Ederson just always finds a way to concede. But also, I think Ake, Akanji, are they nailed? Probably not, with the arrival of Gvardiol. They've also got John Stones at 5.5, but I don't mind him. I just think I'd rather pay the extra for Trent, and I really want Gabriel and Estupinian. So it's as simple as that, really. I just back the City attack more, but I do acknowledge how amazing City's fixtures are. That's why I want to double up. But Foden is a bit of a problem, because even when players leave, even when there's situations that you make think Foden, this must be his year. He must get the minutes this time. He still gets, not the minutes that he deserves as a player. But I just think, surely, Pep, you've got to give him the minutes he deserves. And I know that Mahrez has just left and gone to Saudi. Gundogan's gone. De Bruyne is actually now back from injury. So that's not as we had it in the last video, that De Bruyne was likely to miss game week 1. Now, De Bruyne makes more progress and could possibly be playing the first game. So it's not ideal for Foden's chances, that. But I still feel that Foden is worth taking the risk, because he's at a nice price point. 7.5, there's lots of other options. Maddison, if we get news that Foden is benched and we get that leaked news at Fantasy Fest, then I can always just switch to Maddison and go without another City player, as tough as that will be. Or I could just opt for another City player that I know is starting, like Grealish. And I get Grealish is probably not as good as an asset, FPL-wise, as Foden is, but still, to be honest, I don't mind it too much. Fernandes, home to Wolves, that Monday night game, I know there's no Rashford, and we're going to talk about the effective ownership argument here, because I did say with Trent, you think a lot of people will own him. It's not that high, actually, his ownership, but with Estupinian, that's part of the reason he's there. But I also think, just generally, he's a good FPL asset, and I think he'll do well. But with Fernandes, I'm willing to be a bit bold, because I think I've got to take a few risks, and I feel that this is Bruno Fernandes' year to shine. I do think Rashford is better as an FPL asset, but I think it's worth going against Rashford for the first couple of weeks, because, I think Arsenal is someone I want to double up on the attack on, so that's fine. The same goes for City, and then I want a Brighton attacker, so then that means there's only really one more space. So therefore, that's one Manchester United player, and with this team I've currently got, the way it's set up and how strong it is in terms of the whole squad, therefore I've only got 8.5. I can't afford Rashford, unfortunately. But the great thing is, it's only 0.5 away from Rashford, 9 million. So if it comes the first couple of weeks and I realise that Rashford is the one to own and Fernandes is just doing terribly, then I will make that judgment call then, and it's only 0.5 to get to him, so it's not massive surgery. And although Fernandes is, maybe a bit of a question mark with Mount coming in, I think we've seen in pre-season Mount has been playing a bit deeper, Fernandes has been pushing further, so that's good for his prospects. And Wolves, as I say, not a great situation Wolves are in right now, and I think they could possibly concede that game and even a penalty, hopefully. So Fernandes, yes, I get he's just a risk with only him and no Rashford, but I'm willing to just gamble and hope that my other players like Martinelli, that I'll go on to talk about, like my forward that I'm going to go and talk about, can actually outscore the points that Rashford gets. Saka's has to be in there for me. I think he's pretty much 99% locked. I saw that price and I was like 8.5, he's got to be in there. Nothing's really changed from when I talked about him on my last video for my draft, because he's still nailed. And I know there's been some discussions about he's missed a couple of penalties in pre-season. What if he's not on them? To be honest, even if he wasn't on them, I'd still have him, because he's still Arsenal's talisman and he's just so integral to that team. So yeah, Starboy stays for sure. And that Forest fixture is just so juicy for attack and returns. That Forest defence is not the cleanest, the sharpest, defensively. Then Martinelli's in there. Now, he's a late addition. He's a recent change from the last video, and he's come in to my side. Maddison was there before, and I did really like Maddison as a pick, but then I was like, well, Tottenham are just a bit unreliable, and as good as Maddison is, and I might get him, to be honest, around Game Week 3, I don't need to get him from the off. Let's see how Spurs do at the start with a new manager in Postecoglou, whereas we know with Martinelli how good he is, right? The thing about Martinelli that I hadn't had him originally was the minutes. But then I thought, would I rather 75 minutes of Martinelli or 90 minutes of Jesus? And I'd rather the former, because Martinelli, as much as we thought Trossard is going to get minutes taken off Martinelli, he didn't really that much last season. It wasn't as much as we exaggerated. But also, as I say, I think Martinelli's more of a goal threat than Jesus, and I think a lot of people just auto-pick Jesus at the start of this season when the game launched, because there wasn't many attacking options in the forward line. But Martinelli is probably a better asset, so it just makes sense. It's a bit of a gamble, as is, maybe Mitoma if he gets rotated, or Foden. But I think it's worth taking that gamble because of how good Arsenal's fixtures are and how good their attack is, especially Gabriel Martinelli. So that's interesting. Let's talk about our front two then. And of course, there has been a change for me to then switch from Jesus to Martinelli. So, of course, on the left there, Erling Haaland does stay. He is absolutely essential. There's no two ways about it. And he just looks an absolute freak of nature. He's going to be my captain. I'm not going to go against the effective ownership, which will be something stupid. He's 86% owned for the team selected by. So this guy, do not bet against him. It's as simple as that. He is a robot. Then Gakpo is the new addition. Now, I don't love it. I can't lie. I don't love this position, but I don't also mind it at the same time. He's a bit differential, and it is a bit of a minefield, I'll admit, Liverpool predicting there who's going to start, because we know Salah's going to start. We're pretty confident Diaz is nailed on that left-hand side. And Gakpo, I just wish that Diaz was a forward, or I wish that someone else, was a bit more tempting in that kind of 7.5 forward bracket, because I'm not too keen on someone like Nkunku, because he's new to the league, and I know he's tempting, but I just think I'm going to wait and see and then get them in Game Week 3. I might be priced out. That's an option. That is a possibility, but I think I probably won't move in Game Week 2. I'll probably wait till 3, and then I can shift money around if I need to afford him. But the thing is that Gakpo's the same price as Nkunku anyway, just if in case he goes up, of course. But also a bit cheaper than that at 7, Jackson is the talk of the town. So ultimately, that is one I can downgrade to with Gakpo's 7.5 price. And again, as I say, new player to the league. We don't know how he's going to really get on when the Premier League really comes around and the big matches are, played. So Gakpo, we know, did really well last season, and I was really impressed with him. It's just a worry with Darwin Núñez. He's competing with that spot as well with Jota. There's basically 3 players for one spot, because I think we know the other 2, Salah and Diaz. So it's a bit of a gamble, to say the very least. But I think, to be honest, I like it. That Chelsea game, as I say, we don't know how Chelsea are going to be under the Pochettino management. They're defensively going to try their best, but they're not going to be spring clean. I think ultimately that is going to be a bit of a nervy game. Both sides, feel each other out. But hopefully like a 1-0 Liverpool, a Gakpo goal, and a clean sheet for Trent. That would be great. So yeah, help me out with that, please. But no, I think Gakpo is just a really interesting differential. If he plays, I think he could be dynamite. And as I say, it's a not far off Jesus' price point. It's still, you can downgrade if you need to. And I'm just praying and hoping that he gets the minutes. But I think there's a good chance that he's more favoured over Núñez based on how poor Núñez was last season. Then the bench is the following: Areola, Baldock, Kabore is there now, and Mubama. Now, I think in the last one I might have had Kabore. I can't remember, but I did originally have Amari Bell. But obviously, now Kabore is signed, he's more of an attacking right wing-back for Luton, so that makes sense. He's not going to be playing because Brighton is a tricky away fixture for a defender, but he's definitely one to have, when the fixtures get better. I know they're blanking Game Week 2, but I'm not going to start Kabore anyway. Mubama is in there as well, replacing Archer. It's not a lot of, thing to worry about, because ultimately it's your bench option, but I think Mubama's looked really good, and David Moyes has come out and said that he thinks he's going to give Mubama some minutes, so that's really reassuring. He probably won't start many games, but he'll just come off, get a few minutes, maybe attack and return. If it gets to a point where some of my players like Foden or Martinelli are benched, then Mubama could be that backup if I need it. But I think it's just nice to have that insurance for a 4.5. They'll get some minutes. And then Baldock is still there because I think he's the best 4.0 defender. If you didn't catch that video, me discussing all the 4.0s, then do watch that on my latest video. And then, of course, Areola, who, Bournemouth away, I probably will just have him on the bench. We don't know if he's going to start over Fabianski. So that, for me, is my video done. Hope you have enjoyed this video. I know I said it would be a bit shorter. It was shorter, to be fair, than last time, but still 25 minutes. So I hope you did enjoy it, me going through and explaining my kind of thought process. So the recent additions, if you are unsure, looks like it would have been Kabore, Mubama, Gakpo, and of course, new coming in will be Martinelli. So really exciting. This is not, of course, locked, but it's, getting close to it now. It's the 28th of July, so literally 2 weeks till this season kicks off. But it's getting to that, squeaky bum time now, so it's getting exciting. But hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.